Hi, welcome to Things Are Not What They Seem.
Hanging from your ivory tower. Too high to see the ground. The world is crumbled at your feet. You didn't hear a sound.
Okay. I'd like to go over a couple of interesting news articles. First, I'd like to thank everybody for joining. Anybody that takes the time to listen to our opinion, what we have to say, uh, thank you very much. If you would like to join us or you have a comment, please comment below. I don't really have the manpower to monitor our chat, so please be, uh, you know, responsible. Anyone sees anything anyone says, if anybody even responds in the chat, please, please let me know. Okay, I'm gonna read a couple things here, a couple articles I stumbled across. I'm sure everyone's heard about this. These Arizona parents and this police, this SWAT style raid over a toddler's fever. Now, I haven't done a lot of research into this. I just glanced at the article when I got done with my day today. I haven't had a lot of time to go over a lot of these articles. I figured that we could look at them together. I picked out 4 or 5 articles that sounded very interesting to try to get a grip of a few things that are going on out there in the world and things that appall me, honestly. So let's take a look at this. This is a follow up, I believe, from the raid. Now, from what I heard, the parents didn't follow their doctor's advice and didn't follow their doctor's advice for the fever. That's from my understanding. That's all that happened. The police raided their house. Now, imagine when we get to Internet of Things, and they can when you use your thermometer, that data will be sent to your doctor, the hospital. They may show up at your house whether you call them or not. With the Internet of Things and 5G, we start getting into this smart world. Just thought I'd mention that side note. But here we go. The Chandler Police Department in Arizona has released new details regarding the overnight raid to seize 3 kids from a home because of a toddler's fever last month. Okay, we remember this. I remember this. The children, and I think they took their kids, all of them, I don't know. The children parents are speaking out too. What are the details? This is from the Blaze. Arizona's Department of Child Safety and the CPD, I guess that's the Child Protective Department, have been accused of overreach after police used SWAT-style tactics to enforce a court-ordered temporary custody notice and take a couple's 3 children, which was prompted by the parents' refusal to take one of their kids to the emergency room in accordance with doctor's orders. On February 25th, Sarah Beck took her 2-year-old son, Heber Bryce, to the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine Clinic in Tempe. That's the Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine Clinic in Tempe, where the attending physician, Dr. Bain, Bain, as revealed in a video released by the police, determined the child had a fever of 105 degrees. That's a high fever. Doesn't mean the government can dictate with force how you care for your child. And there's no malice involved. I don't know. KTBK TV reported this. Bain, fearing the child may have had meningitis, urged Beck to take Heber to the emergency room. So the doctor, fearing the child might have meningitis, urged Beck, which is the parents, to take Heber to the emergency room. Beck agreed, but changed her mind, the mother, after retaking Heber's temperature in the car. Discovered it had dropped to 102 degrees. Well, okay then. Once at home, Beck said her son's temperature had dropped even further. She called the doctor to explain her reasoning, but agreed then to take the child at the physician's prompting. So she explained it to her doctor, but still agreed to go ahead and take the child anyway to the emergency room. Which I would have said, go to hell. My child's fever's gone. We don't need to go to the emergency room anymore. That's what I would have said. Not that anybody cares what I would have said, but that's what I would have said. After 3 hours went by, the hospital called Dr. Bain to inform her. After 3 hours went by, the hospital called Dr. Bain to inform her Heber never showed up. Now, hospitals don't just call. How would the hospital have known? Number one. So someone, Dr. Bain, had called the hospital and said, okay, this lady's going to bring her child in. Let me know if she doesn't show up. Or something to that effect. Or they said she's going to bring the baby in, and the hospital said she didn't. And they decided upon themselves to call the doctor. Okay, Urban never showed up, and Beck wasn't answering her phone. So the doctor called Department of Child Safety, which subsequently called the police. See? If you don't pay your ticket, they come and arrest you. If you don't do any of the little secret police organizations like the Department of Child Safety, Department of Energy, IRS, they're going to bring guns. By the next day, Eber and both his siblings landed in separate foster care placements. So, let me get this straight. The Democrats don't complain about children getting separated from their parents, American citizens getting their children separated from their parents, but they'll complain about illegal aliens getting their children separated from their parents. Interesting how that works. Tells you that they only care about us if it suits their agenda. Anyway, by the next day, Eber and both his siblings landed in separate foster care placements after Chandler Police Department knocked down the door to their family home, guns drawn, to enforce DCS's wishes. So let's recap. They go to the doctor. The child has 105 fever. The doctor says you need to take your child to the hospital. I would agree at that point. She goes out to the car. The temperature's down to 102. She gets home. The temperature's down to 99. She calls the doctor. The temperature's down, doc. I think the child's okay. We might hold off on going to the emergency room. I feel like shit. My husband's got to work early in the morning, and we haven't eaten dinner yet. So, we'll monitor the kid and see what's up. Well, this lady, no doubt, liberal Democrat, I'd like to look up Dr. Bain, decided to call the hospital. I mean, that's the question. When did she call the hospital? She shouldn't have called the hospital at all unless it's standard procedure. Call and say, hey, get ready for a baby coming in, blah, blah, blah. Then the hospital took it upon themselves to call back. There's a story there that these guys skipped over. So then she doesn't show up. So the hospital calls the doctor. The doctor calls the Department of Child Protective Services, at least that's what it's called here, and they drag the SWAT team into this. And they go in, they don't knock on their door and say, hey man, how's your kid? Maybe you guys should take your child to the hospital, which still would have been wrong. They kick down the door and fucking draw guns and come in. What is wrong with our country? We live in a police state, guys. When are you going to figure this out? Look at all the people in the last month, including celebrities, where they've showed up in SWAT gear. When are you going to figure out we live in a police state? Things are out of control, folks. Wait till 5G gets here. Wait till they take away our internet freedoms. Who are you going to complain to? What are you going to do? Nobody's going to know what everybody else is up to. It's going to be worse than Nazi Germany, people. But don't worry. Q has you guys back all this time, telling you to trust the fucking plan, didn't he? Almost a year now went by, and nobody did nothing about none of this shit. Now look how close we are to, panoptic surveillance system. Surveillance footage released by Eber's father, Brooks Bryce, showed the police officers' use of force and take the children. I'd love to see that video. After the story went viral, the CPD, Child Protective Department, revealed their side of the story. Now, what did they say? Let's hear what the pricks, the police officers said. In a Facebook post, here you go. That's a real way to handle it. The department released a statement explaining that after several attempts to speak face to face with Beck and Bryce, the residents were given a final opportunity to exit. So they call and they try and they call and they call. And they say, we don't answer our phone, but if you don't exit soon, we're going to kick down your door with guns and take your kids. Where did our country go? The residents were given a final opportunity to exit and take their child to the hospital. They were given a final opportunity. You don't do what we say and how you should care for your child, even though the fever's gone. If you don't do what we say, we're going to arrest and possibly kill all of you. Something's wrong, folks. Upon their failure to do so, the front door was breached. In other words, they kicked it in or they busted it in. Can you imagine these children who are expected to look up to police officers now feel about those police officers who battering rammed in their door, tore them from their parents' screaming and crying arms, I'm sure, and took them to strangers' home and stuck them in their houses for the children's own good. Good job, Chandler, Arizona Police Department. Fucking idiots. The police posted footage of them knocking at the door. I bet they didn't post the footage of them knocking down the door at the home at 10:43 p.m. After that, Officer Tyler Cascio is shown leaving a voicemail for Bryce and calling Bain. Officer Tyler Cascio, asked Bain to give him a rundown of what she was concerned about regarding Eber's condition, but the footage cuts out her response. Of course it does. Of course it does. He has a fever. He might have meningitis. He has a fever. So we're going to risk the lives of a family, battering ram their door in because their son has a fever and might have a contagious disease. Officers are then shown purportedly making a second attempt rapping on the door. Rapping. I'm sure they're beating the fuck on the door. At Beck Price home at 11:42 saying, we just need to talk, with no answer. 10 minutes later, according to police video, Officer Cascio reaches Bryce by telephone. Bryce told the officer he'd be doing fine were it not for the bang at my door while my kids are asleep. Yeah, no shit. Bryce went on to assure the officer Eber was just doing fine. His fever broke. He's under 100 degrees. He's doing fine. So what's the fucking problem? Why didn't they leave if they just wanted to talk? If they just wanted to talk, they got to talk. Now he says, now this is how these fuckers work. Now he explains, well, we need to see for ourselves because we don't trust you as Americans that you can take care of your children and take their temperature and make sure they're safe. We as police officer, tyrant fucking bullies, have to see for ourselves. It doesn't say that, but that's my input. I'm never going to be able to do this right, guys. I can't just read this shit. So, this is it. I can't leave my emotion out of this because this is really fucking wrong. I mean, what the hell? If I got to read it to you and you don't agree, if you don't agree with me, go somewhere else. I don't care about followers. People need to know what's going on. This is ridiculous. Please come in your doors and kick your doors in and then take your children because the child had a temperature. You call them and tell they're not saying his temperature. We're praying to the Lord and we're hoping his temperature goes down. That wasn't the situation. The situation was we've taken our son's temperature. He's fine. No worries. Can you guys go on your way and quit keeping us awake? And they kick in a fucking door. These guys should be charged with breaking and entering, terroristic threatening, kidnapping. They should be. This is bullshit. If we start charging these assholes that violate our rights with crimes, it will stop. It will stop. If everybody has guns, it'll stop too. They start taking our guns, folks, and they have started taking our guns. So shit is about to hit the fan. Here we go. Sorry about my commentaries. This is just so distressing to me. After refusing the officer's request to speak outside, the father says, "No, thank you." Officer Casio again approached the door just before midnight and gave Bryce two options. You either come out here and talk to us so we can figure out how to get your kid to the hospital, or DCH is going to take temporary custody of your kids. So they threaten him. It's a threat. And I'm giving you the opportunity to come out here and just talk to me. First they said we just want to talk on the phone. Now he's saying, no, I just want you to come out and talk to me. Would you trust him? Hell no. Sister reiterated, we're not leaving. That's right. You should not have had to leave, and they should not have come in and taken your children. I hope they sue the hell out of you guys, Chandler Police Department, and I hope you all go to prison and you lose your homes, because this is fucking ridiculous. In a second phone call between Cassio and Bryce, the father asked, do you have a warrant to take my kids? Good for you. The officer responds, we have DCS. So they don't need a warrant. They don't need a warrant. All they need is a doctor saying your child has a fever. If your doctor doesn't like you, or if someone posing as a doctor decides to do the same thing, guess what? You're fucked. The officer responds, we have DCS here, and that's going to take temporary custody of your kids. If you don't come out and talk to us, you're making this much more worse than it needs to be. No, officers, you made it much more worse than it needed to be. No, the father responded, my kids are fine. Your guys are making it worse than it is. Of course you are. Officer Cassio then asked what Bryce's reservations were about coming outside to speak with the police. Of course. Can I search your car? No. Why not? Do you have something in it? Typical tactic of the police. You won't come out and talk to us? Why not? You aren't going to force me to go to the hospital and spend $3,000 on an emergency room visit right now. Fucking A. Let the police pay for this. I'm sure they'll get billed still. Insisting that Eber's fever never had broken and the child would be taken to the hospital if his condition worsens. So he insisted the fever was broken. There was no reason to take the child to the hospital. And he said, I'm not going to go to the hospital and spend $3,000 on a hospital bill I don't need. I think that's reasonable. And we live in an unreasonable, tyrannical fucking government land. It's done, folks. This shit's happening now. Cassio then told Bryce that if he didn't comply, those kids would be taken away and you guys are going to be in some serious trouble. And this just goes on and on and on and on. This is just bullshit. Okay, here we go. What's this? Breaking mass shooting. Wow. What is this? Did this just happen? Just happened? Another shooting? Oh my god. Oh, that's 2018. I was going to say, what's up? You guys, what is this? Clickbait? What the hell would you put that on there? Okay, so that's one. And I'm sorry it took so long for me to get through this. Man. It's just so, it's such bullshit that these people, okay, on the lighter side, let's read this article. Footprints of huge unknown creature discovered at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Now this was August of last year, August 25th, 2018. I heard this, I saw it, I think it's really weird. This is definitely along the lines of our channel, things are not what they seem. I should do this completely separately. Footprints of huge unknown creature discovered on bottom of Pacific Ocean. At the bottom of the Pacific deep sea, a diving robot has discovered a series of mysterious tracks that cannot be explained geologically. Look at those. Look at all these. Let me shrink this back down. Look at all these tracks. There's hundreds of them. And they're in a straight line, like somebody walking, somebody pacing. They're not all scattered up. You can see here, it's like somebody walking around. It's footprints. Boom, 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 boom. Two-legged creature. Two-legged creature. Look at that. Footprints. Footprints. And that's how they are. Footprints. That's what they look like. Completely crazy. Okay, it says, for this reason, marine biologists now assume that the patterns originate from large organisms, but no known marine animal seems to fit the right explanation. As the team around Leigh Marsh of the National Oceanographic Center of the University of Southampton recently reported in the journal, the impressions are in the Pacific Clarion Clipperton zone between Mexico and Hawaii, according to Gwen Wesson Shaft something. The exploratory diving robot came across more than 3,500 of the impressions in the ground, which averaged almost 2.5 meters long. 13 centimeters, 13 centimeters deep. Now, 2.5 meters long, I believe. Let's see how long is 2.5 meters. 2.5 meters. That is it's 3 yards. That's 9 feet. These footprints were 9 feet long and 13 a foot deep. These are 9 feet long and a foot deep. This right here is 9 feet in length. These footprints, feet of this creature are 9 feet in length. The length of 2 human beings laying in a hole. Oh my God. Let me read that again. The diving robot came across more than 3,500 of the impressions, which averaged 2.5 meters long, 9 feet long, 13 centimeters deep. Each one of these footprints are 9 feet long. That's how big this creature is, living at the bottom of the ocean. The solar images show that these impressions are not randomly distributed and form slightly curvy traces, as the researchers around Marsh already remind us of a series of footprints. All the impressions seem to be of different ages. They seem to be traces of more recent times. So these footprints are all different ages. So whatever this creature is, he's been down there a long time. Could this be Satan? Could this be Lucifer trapped? Something's going on. Why is there no known geological process that can explain these traces? The researchers suspect that they are impressions of an organism. They don't want to see giant. They don't want to say sea monster. They say organisms. The problem, now listen to this, the traces in the clay sediment, clay, not sand, can be found at a depth of around 4,000 meters, and thus in a zone in which there should be no living creatures that can leave large impressions. The scientists now want to seek direct evidence for the cause of the mysterious footprints in the seabed. I guess so. Let's share this. Let's share it on Twitter. On seafloor. Over 3,500 each averaging averaging 3 6 say 8 feet long. Okay, this is I have to do this because I don't have my Twitter thing up. Bunk. Let's do this if I've got Twitter. Okay, we'll wait to do Twitter. I don't have it up, but so that's that. I want to talk about that. So okay, the next one. I think there's one more I want to talk about before I go here, and I guess Gary's not going to do this. Here's another one about the footprints. Let's see if it says anything different. There's a video, but I'm sure it's a YouTube video. What's this say? Mysterious unidentified mountain-sized object found crawling across the specific floor. What's this? An unusual object. This is behind reality. I don't know. I never heard of this one before. Mysterious unidentified mountain-sized object found crawling across specific floor. I don't know about the validity of this, but we'll read it. An unusual object of surprising size was spotted potentially crawling across the floor of the ocean, some 3,000 feet below the surface. Now, that's interesting. The object has a 2.5 mile diameter and has some speculated it seems artificial. The object has apparently left a 41-mile track behind it as it rolls along the seabed offshore of California coast. The tracks almost resemble those left by tank treads. The object was found on Google Maps by alien hunter and conspiracy theory group Secure Team 10. Okay, well, he found it. Is there a picture? Nope. Wow, that's wild looking. So anyway, Tyler found it. Close this down. Close this down. That's our live stream. I'm sure we're on there. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's the child with the fever. We talked about that. I don't want to talk about that yet. We'll get that tomorrow. Oh, they did do one thing great. They banned the judge. A judge banned the magazine. The the blocks. A judge blocked the ban on the California's ban on high capacity magazines. So the judge blocked it. So the high capacity magazine gun ammo ban is not in effect right now. So, and then this shark right here. This shark was bitten off. The head of this shark was bitten off. So that's interesting. The guy pulled it up out of the ocean, bit off clean. That was a big thing. There's something big living down our oceans. That's for sure. Something we don't know or understand. Okay, now this is one last thing. I thought this was interesting as hell. New cannabis prohibition in Holland quickly degrades communities in the crime-ridden black markets. Here we go. Holland quickly realized the negative impacts created through the government process of criminalizing personal choice. The naivety of governments that do not understand the basic cause and effect of prohibition is near criminal. The very act of eliminating the ethical trading channel in which a person can acquire the substance they desire de facto creates another channel run by criminals who seize upon the state-created opportunity. State-created opportunity. The criminal channel is not beholden to the natural regulations of the free market and therefore turns to intimidation and violence to boost and maintain sales. Here is yet another example of how quickly government policies based on ridiculous notion of protecting people from themselves will destroy communities. There you go, folks. Right there. That's it. Let's save this. Let's save this picture. Save image as. We'll save this in pictures. And we'll save this in saved pictures. There we go. There we go. Now let's go to Twitter. Okay, I'll do this after I get off here, but I'm going to post that post. So that's a good one. So okay, I'll try to get Gary on here tomorrow, or someone else if I can get another guest. I hope I'm getting better at this. It's taken a few times. I will get more refined. I'm starting to learn to write outlines a little bit, follow a more structured production guideline. I've never done this before. I've talked on the radio a lot, but I've never sat down and tried to organize a presentation before. So I know it's not as good as DeFango and all these other guys, but hopefully I'll touch on some issues that they don't want to, I don't know. Hopefully I'll touch on some issues. I'd like to talk a lot about jury nullification, the right of a juror to free a potential criminal as defined by a state because they believe that the law itself is wrong. Whether the person committed the crime or not, a juror can release them on the basis that they think the crime is wrong. People need to be informed of this. On that note, I'd like you all to remember, and anyone that listens to this probably does realize already to a degree, that things are not what they seem. But also, you have to realize the hardest people to wake up are the ones that think they already are awake. Have a good night, folks. Watch your six.